with memories that will never fade. But most importantly, I've met some pretty cool people along the way, and I'd love to share them with you. If you know what it means to have a dream, we aren't much different from each other after all. This is our show. This is the AG21 Show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the AG21 Show. I'm your host, Alex Gray, and I'm stoked to be joined by Raney Stanczak, aka the Rain Man. On this episode, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to the format that I've done for episodes 1 and 2, where I've engaged you guys on social media and I've gathered your questions. But now I'd like to get an in-depth look on who Raney Stanczak is, on and off the field. I'd also like to know his journey to becoming a professional paintball player, and I'd like us both to talk about where we see the sport going.
Awesome, dude. I'm excited to be on here, dude.
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Good, dude. I just got off basically like a 20-hour travel day yesterday. Yep. Left at like 7 a.m. France time. Got home like 8 a.m. France time, so I spent all day at the airport. But I love it. I'm addicted to the lifestyle. It's fun, dude.
And can you tell the audience about what you were doing in France?
Yeah, so we played. There's the Millennium Series over in Europe, and they had the 4th and final event. And you know, we had a first in the first two out of 3 events, and we got a second in France and locked up the series. So basically, did a 19-day trip. Went to San Antonio, practiced for a Chicago tournament. Went to the Chicago tournament, won that, and then traveled to France. So basically been living on a suitcase for the last 3 weeks, and I've been kind of addicted to that my entire life.
Damn, bro. So you won Chicago.
Yeah.
So Edmonton Impact, out of the 5 tournaments that we play in the National X-Ball League in America, they won the 4th tournament of the year in Chicago. The 3 previous ones were held in Las Vegas, in Dallas, Texas, and Atlantic City, New Jersey. And tell us what it was like, man, winning.
It sucked because at the beginning of the year, we were the bridesmaid for the first 2 events. We lost to Dynasty in the finals, we lost to Houston Heat in the finals, and then we got 4th in Atlantic City. So we were really hungry for a win. And to be honest, when I woke up Sunday, like I didn't need to get up till 7 a.m., but I was waking up at 5 a.m., 5:10, 5:20, 5:30, 5:40. I was having paintball dreams. And I kind of knew when I woke up Sunday, I was like, we're going to win this tournament. Sometimes you just
had a feeling.
I had that feeling. Actually, I was dreaming back to when I was a kid in like 2001, and I was having dreams of watching old paintball videos.
Yeah.
And listening to there's this band called Slipknot, which I do not listen to. Yes, screaming death music, and they play it in this old paintball video. So they play it in this video called Trauma Head Sports. It's like VHS, just super old school, and it's just screaming music, people bunkering each other. But for some reason, my brain was making me listen to that song that morning.
Okay.
So all day that day, that's all I listened to. I listened to that same song on repeat, and it got me in the mode, and I just felt like I went out there and played well because of that.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way. Like in Chicago, I was listening to Last Resort by Papa Roach.
Okay.
And that was getting me going.
Yes, I know that song very well.
See, it's funny because in paintball, like a lot of these old school DVDs, the way they play like music, like it's not like your 21 Savage, you know, like current like rap song, like it's kind of more like alternative rock, and it goes really well with, you know, the bass drum or whatever. So like Taking Back Sunday and like Papa Roach gets me pumped up.
Yeah.
That song Neon Sunrise, it's from the 2009 Dirter video. I think it's Bring Out Your Dead.
Okay, yeah.
That gets me really stoked. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy now because all paintball videos now are all dubstep, and you look back and it's all rock music. But yeah, so like I'm very into the fact that sometimes like if I'm doing something well, whether it's paintball or poker, I will listen to that same song over and over because it just keeps me in that same mindset, and I just want to just continue that mindset and not like let something throw me off guard.
Well, you're also trying to fucking rip someone's head off. Out there, right? And you kind of got to get in that mindset that like I'm willing to take the heat that I'm getting, but I'm going to do this job for my team, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess so. So tell us about, you know, the finals of that tournament, like, you know.
Dude, it was crazy because
or the journey of the tournament itself, you know, how it was going and
going into that tournament. Like, I mean, we normally only play the one weekend before the tournament, and everyone thinks in paintball that we're, you know, one of the best funded teams in paintball. So everyone thinks we play every weekend, we play all these days. You know, there's teams from Russia that play every single day. They play 5 days a week.
Yeah.
We play the one weekend before the event. We play the Friday, we show up, we play with each other, just drill, learn the field. Saturday, Sunday, scrimmage a team. Fly to the event Monday. Thursday, play the day before the event. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday's tournament. That hasn't been working. So we changed the formula. We came the 2 weekends before.
Interesting.
We went up to Sacramento. We played another team called Seattle Thunder. And then, Sacramento DMG. Played them. Went to San Antonio. Had a very heated practice with them. It got to the point where we had to be told by Bart and Alex that if anybody gets into it, they're done for the day.
Well, that's good though.
Yes,
that shows that both teams care.
It's good, but it's good, but at the same time, like it shouldn't get to that point where we're, basically hurting each other. Yeah, and people are this close to wanting to fight each other. So yeah, on Sunday we're all buddy, but on the field it's like, I'll cheat you, I'll do whatever I have to do to beat you, but off the field you're buddy. So yeah, so we had a heated practice in San Antonio. We got in there. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's cool because like the best part about being on the 19-day trip and going from like never going home is you get these couple days of like hanging out with everyone. So like when I came in Friday, Saturdays for the practice, I was kind of like, God, we're doing the same thing over and over, and it made it not as fun. But then Tuesday, we went in Chicago. We rented beach cruisers. We cruised around Chicago all day. So it made like playing the tournament with those dudes a lot more fun because we got a couple days off to hang out and have fun, basically bonding time. And then come in Friday and get our ass kicked the first match of the day against the Russians.
Damn.
Yeah, that hurt.
Wake up call.
It was a wake up call. We weren't playing well. This is a field where you couldn't make moves without putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. If you made a move because you shot someone and you're like, oh, this is an opening, well, guess what? They have someone watching that opening.
Yes.
At all times on this field, someone could watch an opening, and if you thought, you knew where everyone was at, but you didn't know where the one guy's at, you kind of got bit in the butt. So the Russians did a good job against us, and they kind of showed us that, and they showed us kind of how to play the field correctly, and we made that adjustment, and
you learned.
We learned, but at the same time, we still put ourselves in 4 matches where we had to play overtimes.
Oof.
So we could have gone home early Saturday and not played on Sunday.
Sometimes I guess it's meant to be though when you pull out those overtime matches.
Yeah, it's like a flip of a coin. Like you go into overtime, anybody can win on an overtime point.
Right.
But for some reason, we seem to do the best when the pressure's on.
As the greatest teams do.
Yeah, like even in France, we had a match where it wasn't to move on to the finals. It wasn't the finals. It was the quarterfinals match. But that match meant the most throughout the whole tournament because it was between us and Russians. And whoever won that match won the series. They were going to be the best team of Europe for 2017. So we had to play that match first thing on Sunday. And it was, we went up 1, then they went up 3-1, then we came back, and then we're up 1 point, and they got, a minute to come down the field and just beat us out. And before you know it, it's a 1-on-3 versus Dalton, and Dalton somehow shoots all 3 and trades out with the last guy, and we win the series. And then we go play Tauntauns in the finals, and we definitely didn't feel that pressure. I don't know if we played our best, but ended up losing that one, taking second in a close match.
So you just won Chicago, and that's for me, I've never won a professional tournament before. You've won plenty of professional tournaments. Does it almost feel like that's expected of you? So it's kind of like you got a weight off your shoulders now that you finally got that win, or do you still get that same excitement as someone as myself, like a 22-year-old? Would get if you win a professional tournament?
I mean, I'm definitely excited when we win, especially like when we struggled all year. We haven't got a big win in the U.S. So to win that event felt great. To win it with guys like Brandon Cornell, who have never won a pro tournament.
Shout out B, man.
Yeah. So like to see him, how excited he was, and I mean like, I don't know, like I'm just like you yourself. I'm a competitive person.
Yep.
So like, winning is everything. Like everyone's like, oh, winning. It hurts more to lose than it feels good to win. For me, it's the other way around. I don't care about losing. Like, losing hurts, but the winning feels so good that I'm risking to lose so many tournaments just to win one. I don't really care about the losing ones. I'm like, oh, that sucks. I just want that feeling of winning.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. It's just so competitive. That
See, I think people have that motto twisted because then you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Right.
So you go out there and you're like, man, I could have made that move. I should have got up and stabbed that guy. But instead I sat there and maybe were like, I don't want to lose this point. Right. So now I'm like, man, if I get up and I make a move and it doesn't work out, whatever, I can sleep well at night. The ones where I can't sleep well is when we lose and I sit there and go, I could have got up, made the move, and been the hero.
Right.
So I'm never worried about making a big move and failing.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about Edmonton Impact really quick because for me, as someone who played lacrosse in high school and played football in high school, I'm so intrigued by professional sports leagues, right? Like the NFL, I'm intrigued by the NBA, and I'm kind of intrigued by how the athletes get rewarded for their performance, right? And I would think from an outsider's perspective, playing on Edmonton Impact, you guys seem to, almost live the paintball dream, right? You're traveling, you are playing for a team that isn't from America, you're playing on a team that is from Canada. There's so-called, I believe you guys deserve what you get as far as, you've worked your whole life in order to earn a spot on a team like that. But some, I would say, not haters, but some critics would say, Edmonton Impact players get everything covered for them. They have the resources covered, and because the owner of their team owns the league as well, there's some political favoritism that gets dealt to you guys. I want to give Raney a chance to talk about this and kind of put it out there for you guys that have gone to social media and complained about something like this. Or
it's funny because
about that?
Somebody will come up to me and they're like, I want to play pro. They're like, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like what divisional tournaments have you won? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I play on a D4 team. I haven't really played too many divisional tournaments. I'm like, well, how do you expect to get everything paid for and play pro and be on that winning team? They're like, well, I'm like, I put in the hard work. I spent
the journey.
I put in 20 years of my life and spending countless hours doing
I'm
paintball.
Fucking 22. You've put in 20 years into this.
I started playing, I've been playing since I was 10 or 11, and I've spent so many weekends, and I've told so many people that there is no paintball dream, that I will not be good, that you will not be on a good team. And so for me now to be at the top, it's like, in my eyes, I feel like I deserve it. In some people's eyes, they just see they're just getting it handed to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, you don't know. How many Super Bowls, how many Valentine's Days, how many birthdays, how many things that I've missed, graduations. I've given up so much stuff to get to these few years of being at the top, and getting to prosper in this sense. So it doesn't really bother me when people ask that. I just like I said, the kid that asked me, hey, what do I got to do to be on a pro team? Come back to me when you win a divisional tournament. Then come back to me when you win a semi-pro tournament. Then come talk to me. For the guys that are playing pro and they see us, I don't blame them in the sense, sometimes calls go our way, mm-hmm. and sometimes calls don't go our way. But when you're in the limelight, they're only going to see the calls that go our way, not the calls that didn't go our way. Mm-hmm. There's a move.
Kind of like the New England Patriots in football.
Yeah, they're not going to see Tom Brady putting all these time in or Tom Brady getting the bad call. They don't really care to hear that. They don't care if Tom Brady got a bad call, mm-hmm. or the holding call that didn't go across. They're just going to see, he deflated his ball a little bit. That's all they're going to care about. Some minuscule thing. They're like, that's what made Tom Brady win, was have a little air out of the ball. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me?
Are you guys deflating your paintballs?
No. Yeah. Thought about deflating bunkers. Sometimes you got to do it. And I'm like, man, if I deflate this bunker right now, am I going to get shit for it? But, yeah, so there's some calls that have gone our way, but then I look at this last match, we played Infamous, mm-hmm. and there's an overtime point where Damien comes through, and it looks like I 100% spin on him. But it's from my eyes, I see him coming to get me, and I twitch, don't shoot, and he gets shot by everyone else. I don't even shoot him. A few points before that, I go through, and he's doing the same thing, looking Dorito way.
Yes. I
shoot him in his back, and I'm sliding his W, and he shoots me. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't mind the refs making the no call. There's no call going to be made, mm-hmm. and they're rightfully so. They shouldn't make a game-changing, penalty, mm-hmm. with a move that wasn't game-changing. But everyone, all they see is me spinning in the overtime point, going, that's why Impact won. They don't see the other times where I got spun on. You know what I mean?
And they don't see the 20 years of hard work.
They don't. And so, it doesn't really bother me when people go, oh, you won this and that. It bothers me when, this last event, we lost to a French team in France in the last, Millennium Tournament of the year. The NXL is buying Millennium, they're taking over, and Laurent owns Millennium, or he did. And he also owns the Tauntauns. So it's his team in his league in France with a lot of French refs.
Where there's some penalties.
Yeah, but to be honest, that really didn't determine the outcome of the game. we got a penalty. I think they got a penalty. I think there was one no call on us, one no call on them.
Right.
And when somebody asked me, oh, you guys weren't going to win, I'm like, look, they beat us straight up.
Right.
Do not take anything away from those dudes. They simply play better. They were able to shoot more of us off the break. We weren't able to shoot their guy off the break. They were able to make it out wide. We weren't able to make it out wide. Still, with all that, it was a 1-point game. So they rightfully deserve that tournament. So I don't ever come off the field going, man, we got cheated.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a 10-man, which is like old school paintball, and people were reincarnating themselves. They were wiping goggle hits. And I mean, it was the dirtiest game that you ever played, but that's how that tournament played.
Right.
So when I walked the field, I was like, congrats, you guys won. Well, good job.
Right. That's so funny to think about in comparing like paintball to football. Is like, maybe back in the day you could get away with more things. Now, from my perspective, playing in the NXL, these refs see everything. Like you don't get away with a lot, and there's 10 refs on the field probably at a time, right? So it's very micromanaged, and as a player, it kind of affects with your psyche. You know what I mean? You have to be so comfortable and kind of in your zone that like you have to feel like if you get hit at any time, you better get off the field because it's gonna get seen if not.
I like some of these 10-mans locals. I'll go out there like I'm gonna cheat. When you go to the NXL, it's like you're like I'm not gonna cheat. The moment you get hit like making a move and you go to their side, you come up because they see it, and you can even hear it. When I came off that point against Damien, I could hear them on the walkie-talkies going, "Oh, he didn't shoot his gun," and you're like, "Man, how do you see that?" Whereas I feel like if you were a divisional player or in a lower field, if one of those refs saw it, all they would see is spinning and throw the majors.
Right.
So these NXL refs, they take their job seriously to the point where they're catching all the little things.
Right.
They're like, oh, he didn't shoot him. Oh, he didn't spin. Oh, he didn't do this.
So, but at the same time, I feel like we need to give credit to these referees because paintball is so hard to judge, and it's such a bang sport, and things happen so fast, and these balls are flying at 10.5 a second that it's like I almost feel like, what do you expect from these guys? You can't expect them to be perfect.
And you got to think too, like an NFL ref, they get replays, but the main thing is they only
want to talk about that in a second.
They only have to, ref 1 hour game once a week. These NXL refs are there from Friday at like 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. They're the first and last people there. They are all day standing on their feet. I've ref local events.
Yes.
It sucks. And there's times where I catch myself and I'm, oh, what just happened? Somebody just got shot. I'm like, oh man, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I mean, so you got to give those dudes a lot of credit. And then topping it off, they take grief by saying that they get paid off by us. So now I just joke about that.
You said replay, and I want to present something to you guys as well. And when you go back and watch this episode, I definitely want you to comment on this. I think, and I solely believe that in the last minute of a match in the NXL, there should be instant replay. I think because we have the technology and we have Go Sports capturing everything that happens, if there is a controversial call, I would like the refs to go up or send one ref up into the booth of Go Sports. I would like them to watch in slow motion the bang play that's happening because it's too tough for them to catch it on the spot, and I would like them to make the call accordingly. What do you think about that?
Well, it's tough because let's just take that point with me and Damien. Let's say they throw the major on me.
Yes.
It's not deserved. I don't think they should go on the webcast and overturn that. It's because how do you deter? There's too many variables. You can't go, well, let's pause that game and put everyone in their same spots. How much air did you have? How much paint did you have? You know what I mean? I get they are using replays to, if there's a penalty thrown at the last 20 seconds of the point, they can take that penalty away. But they shouldn't be able to go in and see that I wiped a hit, diving into the snake, live the whole game, and then stab someone. They shouldn't be able to go, oh, Raney cheated, let's balance it out. Otherwise, you say, oh, he cheated here, he cheated there, he changed this. I think the only thing they can apply it to is like the Kyle Spica move,
of course,
a World Cup. That's
what I'm talking about, though.
That stuff they can do it to. Those things where you're like, man, what happened? Did Kyle hit it? It was so quick. It looks like he hit it, but it also looks like Greg shoots him. So you're like,
but that's the difference between world champion and not world champion. I would like technology because if it's there, I'd like the rightful team to win.
So I think they do it, but they don't really. It's not something they're always going to implement. I think there's certain situations where they're like, okay, let's see if we have it, and they're like, we got it. I know there was a game between DMG and Brooklyn Bears, and I want to say it was Dallas, and it was one of those points where it was super close.
Right.
And we're in the pit right before we're about to play, and Brooklyn Bears are in the pit, and they're like, we hit it, and some of their guys are like, no, we didn't hit it, and they try to go to the webcast, and they didn't have that right angle. So it's tough when you know, but if you can use it, you can use it. If not, you can't.
It is what it is, and we'll see if that rule change does happen, or if they take those necessary steps. So I want to know a little bit in this audience as well. I want to get to know Raney outside of paintball. I want to know your interest, what you're into off the field. Who is Raney Stanczak?
Man, like, so when I grew up playing paintball, I was like a pretty big nerd. I love games. There's a couple guys on our team like that, like Justin Rabikoff. He's a big gamer. So yeah, I played a lot of games when I was a kid, and I was pretty quiet. I was pretty shy. I wasn't outgoing, and it's funny because when I started first playing paintball, I didn't like it. I hated it.
Yeah.
I got shot in the ribs, and it hurt me. And nowadays, luckily, they have like smaller caliber paintballs where it won't hurt.
Yes.
But I was a little kid, got hit in the ribs the first game, thinking it doesn't hurt. I run up the field, 11 years old, take one of the ribs, drops me to the ground. I start crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I hated it. So every weekend we go play, I would be sitting in the back of the car going, how do I get out of this? What can I do? And I'd break my gun. I would do everything. I would take paintballs and break them on my leg and call myself out. I was the biggest chicken. And then somewhere along the line, I got hooked and started playing it. And I mean, I'm so glad because paintball has like really taught me just like, you know, it helps you become a better person, a man, and like come out of your shell and to explore new things and go new places and try new foods and do all these crazy things, and gives you the confidence to succeed in anything else you do. So I've been able to really kind of take that from paintball and apply it to my life. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, besides paintball, I spend a lot of time playing poker. Like, I really, really think I could be a good poker player once paintball's done with, or while paintball's going on. I try to balance out the two, but it's difficult because I'm such like a one-minded type of person. Like, once I have something on my mind, that is all I think about. That's all I eat. I wake up and think about it and dream about it. Like right now, I got back from the trip. I don't really want to play poker today. I don't really want to play poker tomorrow. All I'm thinking about is that tournament, and I'm wanting to play, and I'm wanting to get out there and work on things that I was unable to do at the last tournament and get ready for World Cup. But yeah, man, I mean, I spent a lot of time playing paintball and poker. I mean, it's pretty much consumes my life, and I've even weeded out. You know, you have a lot of friends in school, and then you have a lot of friends in college. And I've weeded out people that don't really do anything that I do. I don't go out and waste a lot of time partying because it does negative things. You know, I've hurt myself doing that. I've wasted money. I've wasted time. So I've kind of just stick to what I enjoy, and if people don't do that, then I really don't associate with them.
Has there ever been a time where you say like you either go all in on this or all in on that? Has there been a time in your 20-year career, I guess you could call it, that you went all into poker?
Well, when the off season rolls around, I have. When I wasn't.
So we play the season is from March until November, and then from November until March is kind of what we call the off season, where guys usually are looking for other teams, or they're focusing on whatever it is who they are outside of paintball. So
yeah, there was one year where I had a successful off season playing poker, and I thought about it, but I put in too much time, and I love this game too much that I know when I'm laying in bed as like a 55-year, 60-year, 70-year-old man, hopefully I make it that age, that I will look back and regret not continuing to do what I've done. I'm like, man, I've put all this time into this thing to quit to try to do something else. I know I would regret it.
Well, and you only have so much time to play paintball, right? Like, guys, I'm already feeling it in my lower back and my knees, and I'm 22 years old. You can only dive and crawl on the snake so many times for so many years. I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life, and I know that. So I agree with you in the sense that like you got to go into paintball while your body's still good and still able to do it. I feel like poker is one of those sports where you're chilling, man, and like it's a mind game. So I see you only getting more methodical and more strategic the older you get. I've
definitely gotten better, and I've gotten more patient with poker because I've gotten older. But yeah, you're right, man. Like paintball, you can only do for a certain amount of time. I mean, I'm 31 years old, and I've been lucky enough not to hurt myself too much. This year, I hurt my back, but I've been able to take a couple breaks. I took a 2-year break to finish up school, and then I concentrated on poker those years. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm torn with that a lot. I'm torn with it too when I have when we have a bad trip or by bad trip I mean unsuccessful results. I'm coming home and I'm like, man, do I really want to keep doing this? But then you have a trip like this where you get a first, a second, you wrap up the series in Europe.
You get to travel, man.
Yeah,
it's the memories with your teammates.
That's the biggest part that keeps me in paintball is the traveling and the team I play with. You know, if I wasn't on this team and weren't playing with these people, would I keep playing as much as I do? Probably not. I would still play, but to me, it's like who you play with. You know, there was a couple years when I didn't really like playing on Aftermath. Or I didn't like playing paintball, but I liked playing on Aftermath. I liked playing with who I was playing. And I wouldn't have played paintball if I wasn't playing with those dudes.
Right.
That's what kept me going those years.
It's kind of like, it's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it with that matters.
And it's crazy because when I took 2 years and I went back to school and I was doing school and poker and I was doing successful, and I did not think I was going to play paintball ever again. I pretty much walked away from the game, put the gun down, thinking I was never going to come back. And my buddy Greg Pauly, who coaches AC Dallas, the team that we beat in Chicago, you know, he hit me up to come play for 2012. And at the time, a couple other pro teams hit me up, but I knew I didn't want to play with a random pro team. So he hit me up. He's like, hey, come play the lower divisions. Come have fun with me. And that's pretty much what got me hooked again, was playing with him and having fun and playing with, you know, guys that really made paintball fun.
Got you. And, you know, for all the viewers at home, you know, a lot of these guys are coming up the divisional ranks right now. You know, they are where you were once upon a time. And, you know, I'd like you to kind of just give it to them straight. Like how did you become a professional paintball player? And what are some of the steps you took that they can take as well right now to play on an Edmonton Impact or play on a Seattle Uprising one day?
Dude, I like I said, I've fully invested myself. I missed so many things.
Commitment.
I remember I bailed. I was supposed to go to prom, and I bailed because I got invited to go play a paintball tournament in Tampa with there's like Greg Pauly's team called Diesel. I got invited to play, and I literally bailed on prom. And I mean, I got a lot of shit for that, but in my eyes, like, that was the thing. I was willing to do whatever it took,
sacrifice,
to get there. And I think, like, people see, like, with social media now, you can follow us on Instagram, you can follow us on the videos, and all they see is us traveling, living this life, and going here, and then you get this shot of Paris, and this and that, and it's like, you know, social media definitely manipulates things, and they don't see
the iceberg.
Yeah.
Right? They see the tip.
They don't see the base.
They see the tip, but they don't see
the Tuesdays and Thursdays you go out there doing drills, and at my age still doing them, still running drills, still working at it. But yeah, I mean, like, I see a lot of kids that don't stick with it. I mean, I remember you were around. I was thinking about this on the way down here. I was like, I remember seeing your face around 2007 LA Open, you know, with the big eyes when I was on Ironman going, and I was like, all right, you can see it. You can see who has those eyes that want to be there.
Yep.
So it's cool to see someone like yourself who's stuck with it. You know, you still do school, you still have this balanced life, because you still have to do other things. Like, you know, all the veterans told me, you know, still go to school, still do these things, but, you know, this is your passion, then make it your passion.
Right.
It's cool to see a guy like Jesse Stevens, who played on AC Dallas, who played on X Factor, and you know, I give that dude a lot of credit because he made it to the top. He got on the pro team. He was not successful. He maybe didn't even have the right attitude. Got sent back down, and that's when usually people just fall off. But what he did is
adversity.
He found a program, found Greg Pauly's program, went in their divisional program, worked his way up, and now is playing on, you know, one of the best pro teams. You know, they got second place, and, you know, that's huge. It's cool. That's what you need. You need to have that grit. You need to have that drive where, yeah, you're gonna get punched in the face, you're gonna lose, and, like, even in poker, like, you are going to lose 99% of the tournaments you play if you're a good player. That's so discouraging. So, like, you got to kind of take that same mentality with paintball. Like, just because you're out there losing and you're spending all this time, you can't just quit and give up. If you want to become great, you have to stick with it. You have to put the time in and just be gritty about it.
So you have that senior prom story. It's so funny, man, because I'm so.
It may have been junior prom too.
Junior prom. I'm just relating and thinking about that now. It's kind of fucked up, and I had so many weddings that never existed.
Yeah.
That you know, I was doing for paintball. You know, I would write, you know, hey, my cousin has a wedding and I got to go to it. It's in Orlando, Florida, and, you know, here you go, football coach. Like, I won't be here this weekend. But it's so funny to think back on now because it's, you know, it's harmless, but that's what it took. You know what I mean? Like, you have a conscious decision. Like, do I pursue? Because paintball, it's on the weekends, right? And we all have something better to do on the weekends. There's going to be this party here. There's going to be this football game here. There's going to be this lacrosse game here. There's always going to be something to do on the weekends or some event to go to. But paintball is on the weekends, and it is in different locations, usually than where you live. So you have to make that decision that, hey, I want to travel to Orlando, Florida to play in this tournament, to be a part of this community that is, the paintball sport community, and to have this experience. And I'm going to have to sacrifice the things that are going on back home in order to experience this. Because when you're coming up the divisional ranks, no one gives a fuck who you are.
No.
Edmonton Impact is not flying you out and paying for you to play a divisional tournament. You're going there on your own dime. You're paying for your own flight. You're paying usually for your own paint. You're paying usually for your own equipment. And you're taking the long, hard road, hoping that you can have some success, that you can honestly get punched in the face, usually when you go to these tournaments, and kind of build this mentality and build this skill to be able to compete against guys like the pros. So there is that aspect to it. You have to make sacrifice. If you're in high school right now and you have aspirations of playing professional paintball, you're going to have to make sacrifices to do that, and that's going to be on you if it's worth it or not. But ultimately, you have to be ready, and I tell you guys this right now, to go to a field where there is a professional team, go right up to their coach and say, hey, I want to practice with you guys today. And that's on you to be ready to hang with the big boys. Because if you can't hang with the big boys, it's going to be a long Saturday for you. But if you can, if you've been through what it takes and you've made those sacrifices to be ready for that moment, you're going to get guys like Raney saying, shit, this kid's good. What's this kid's name? Right? And Matty Marshall told me this when I was in France. He said to me, like, you have to be so good at what you do that people are forced to notice. You have to force these professional players to notice you. And that's that iceberg, right? That's that process that goes into that one moment where you catch a professional's attention, and then you're skipping years, right? I don't care if you've been playing. I know a player on TMG Outlaws, John Kurzawa. I used to train with him back in 2013. He was playing professional paintball in 2016.
Yep.
It took him 3 years to play professional paintball.
I drilled with him too.
I've played paintball for 10 years. Right, so theoretically, even though I was younger, I wasn't in the same physical shape as John was. He was able to skip years because this guy worked, man. I'm telling you, like, shoot the pole. You know what I'm saying? Like, when me and him would go to the gym, it would be consistently endurance training drills for what it took to get to professional paintball, and he manipulated time with his work ethic. And I'm proud of him for being able to play professional paintball. But I'm also stoked for the opportunity that you guys have to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I always say, everyone always wants to do the easy thing. The easy thing by going out. I mean, you got it. Like in high school, you got to give. I've given up so many parties and so many things, and like now it's like I look back. I'm like, do I want to keep drinking with the same people and going to the same bars, or do I want to go drink from the trophy in France?
Yeah,
like that's what it's about, is going to places you haven't done it. So that's how I can like justify to myself giving up all those hours and all that time, because some people like Goldman, you watch that kid, he jumped to pro real quick. I had to take a long road. I had to put in a lot of time. I wasn't the front guy that goes, they go get up there. So yeah, you definitely just got to put in a lot of time.
What was the moment where you're like, okay, like I can do this?
How
old were you? Tell me about that situation.
Dude, I think you have that inner like dilemma whether you can do it or not. And I think the first time, I started to get a glimpse of it when I was a young kid. I'd go out there and have days where I would compete against the Ironman. I remember for one of the biggest tournaments in the world, it was 2002. It was before the last 10-man World Cup. The Bushwhackers, I'd go out and play on a Wednesday with Hinman. I'd go play Saturday at SC Village with the Bushwhackers, and then Sunday all the Bushwhackers, which is an old paintball team, would show up and play. And so I would get a couple games in with this amateur team, and they would play against a pro team. And back in the day, you could only play 6 games. Okay. 6 games an entire day. So I go out there and we beat the Ironman 2 out of 6 games, stale 1, which was huge for an amateur team to beat the pro team. And I was running the 50s, I was bunkering people, I was winning games. Then on Sunday comes around, I get sat, and I watch all the quote-unquote good players show up, and they can't beat the Ironman. Not one single game. Couldn't beat them. They put me in one game, and I went out there, and in 10-man game, you don't make the hugest outcome, but I was able to get in there, shoot a guy, shoot another guy, and bunker a third guy, and put our teams in a high body situation. So they invited me to come play Cup, but I was too chicken to go. Or my mom wouldn't let me go, so I argued with her.
Oh, his mom wouldn't let him go now.
She wouldn't let me go, so for like a day, 2 days, I begged her, please let me go, please let me go. And then finally she's like, you can go. And at that point, I was mentally done. I caved in, and I mean, I'm kind of glad I didn't because things worked out. But yeah, I mean, I had glimpses like that, and then maybe 6 months later, I'd have a couple days where I would suck. I wouldn't be into it. I'd be scared of getting shot, and you were talking about how you put yourselves in front of people's eyes to get noticed, and I did that a lot. I'd always go out there and try and practice against Dynasty, or I'd play on a team that would compete against Dynasty, because you can't just always show up to a field and be like, hey, I want to play against the pro guys. The pro guys are like, look, we got a limited amount of time.
Right.
You're not going to get to play against us. But who are we playing against when we go to Sacramento is DMG. And DMG is a semi-pro team. So how do you get on DMG? Well, they have a Divisional 4, Divisional 3 team. Mm-hmm. So you play with them. How do you get better and get on the semi-pro team? You go out there and you play on the Thursdays. You play on the Saturdays that not everyone's there. You play on the Sunday.
Right. And
now you're working your way up the ranks. Now you're playing on the semi-pro team against Impact. And now you go out there and have games. And that's what I used to do, is I'd have games against Dynasty. I'd have games against Ironman. And then you get noticed. And then you're coming back on the plane flight, and you luck out, and you're sitting next to a pro, and they're like, oh, how'd you do? You're like, we won. And you're like, oh, what division? We won the open division. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, who'd you beat? And you drop a couple names, and they're like, oh, man. And then they see you, because the thing that's cool is when you play in the open or semi-pro division, you play right before the pros do. That is your resume. That is how you get noticed.
Oh, yeah.
You earn your way onto a good semi-pro team, and you make moves, and you help your team win in the open division. The pro guys that are quote-unquote the best, because they're about to play the finals, they watch you make those moves. That's how I got back in the game. I knew it when I played a tournament with Paulie, that if we played in the finals in Division 1, that Tampa Bay Damage and Excessive would watch. And I was like, I wanted to impress Justin Rabikoff, Dave Baines, because I wanted to play with those dudes. So I was like, well, I'm back in the game. I need to go make moves. And that's kind of how I got myself onto Damage. And when I was on Damage, I wanted to be on Impact because they traveled around. So every time we played them, I made sure they noticed me. I made sure I played my best. So they're like, man, screw that guy. We want him.
Yep. You earned your opportunity. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's dive into paintball a little bit. Let's dive into the sport. You've been in the sport for 20 years. I've been in the sport for 10 years. The reason I'm playing paintball right now is because I watched it on ESPN in 2006, and since that time I've never looked back, and the sport has evolved over the time, and I am playing professional now, and I wouldn't say it is the same perception as it had in 2006. Let's talk about where we see the sport going right now.
Yeah, it was crazy because back in the day there was this, you saw Oliver Lang, who was, the most famous paintball player, arguably the best paintball player to ever pick up a gun. He got that huge contract. We got $100,000 a year for 5 years. So you're like, man, somebody can actually make legitimate money. Mm-hmm. And at the time, social media wasn't the biggest thing,
It wasn't.
No, not in 2005.
MySpace, maybe, and Facebook was just coming up.
So it was easy to manipulate what you saw and get a true understanding. Now you can see the paintball struggle of yourself or myself or whoever it is. You're like, oh, I'm spending all this time in the airport. Oh, I just spent this money on practice paint. It's easy to get all the stories out, whereas back in the day you didn't. So there's this
You read about it in a magazine from Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, and so you thought it was this huge and big thing, and then you saw it on ESPN, and then you start to realize when you get into it, you're like, maybe it's not as glamorous as you thought.
Right.
And I think there was this dream of everyone, making it this easy road to being on ESPN, to getting these big contracts, to being on TV and being super famous. And I think we just kind of put this misleading image out of paintball of where it was going. And I think now we're kind of getting a better grasp of what we are and who we are and where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do. And I think as a community now, you look at, I mean, yourself, you're growing it, I'm growing it. Everyone on Instagram who posts paintball is growing it. You know, Bear's Studio, who doesn't really play much, he's doing a good job of growing it.
Phenomenal.
And he's getting it out to all these people, and I think that's what we need to do as paintball. You know, we try to get it on ESPN. We try to have this like magical formula. Like we thought if we changed the format to 2-man with 75 paintballs or 200 paintballs or whatever it is, like everyone thinks there's this magical formula that will just make paintball go boom in everyone's eyes.
I'm one of those thinkers. So prove me wrong. Because I've talked about it before, and on episode 2, Marcelo really opened my mind to this. But essentially, you know, I think for someone watching paintball at home, like the first time I watched paintball, it took me a little bit to see what was going on and to understand what was going on. I more so was fascinated with the hype and the commentators. Oh my God, that's such an amazing move, and Oliver Lang made that move, so all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, like I like that player, and he plays for this team, San Diego Dynasty, and there's the Naughty Dogs, and I'm starting to get to know the teams, you know what I mean, and starting to get to know like what's going on. But, you know, it took me a little bit to understand what was going on. So what I say with paintball is, right, we play 5-on-5 with a 15-minute clock, you eliminate the 5 other players, and you hit their buzzer on the side of the field. Well, you know, sometimes an issue with that is it can be not so entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, with certain field layouts and strategies, you know, some of the strategies are, hey, you go to this spot, and I don't even want you to shoot at anyone. I want you to shoot for this gap of the field. We call it zones in paintball, and I want you to make sure they don't go through that zone. So Raney can go to a spot on the field, he can sit there, and he can shoot 1,500 to 2,000 paintballs on that zone for a certain amount of time. And just like in football, you know, there's strategy. When you get up on the clock in football and you're winning, you're going to run the football. You're not going to air it out. You're not going to throw for the hero deep ball down the field. You're going to run the clock out. And you might even take a knee when you win the game, and some of that same strategy applies to paintball. So, where I'm going with this, focal point is one thing I think paintball lacks, right? I think paintball doesn't have a basketball, it doesn't have a football, it doesn't have a golf ball, it doesn't have a lacrosse ball. So an average viewer can't follow what's going on, and sometimes 5 guys doing 5 different things is confusing to the average viewer.
Oh, for sure.
I also think that it's hard to tell stories of the characters when there is 5 guys on the field at a time. And like if this were like a tennis match, it's very easy to tell the story of Rafa Nadal when he's out there going one-on-one against Roger Federer. We can get the total statistics of the times they faced each other in the past. We can get the total statistics of how successful they've been at this tournament in particular. We can tell a story around those 2 individual athletes. And what Marcelo opened my mind to was he asked the simple question. He says, Alex, do you enjoy watching paintball? And I said, yeah, like I enjoy watching paintball, you know, probably because I play it and I enjoy it. Just like baseball, like I kind of hate watching baseball because like I didn't really play it growing up. But then I'll watch my friends next to me and they're so into the little details that I would not pick up on because I don't follow baseball. So maybe a better job of helping people understand paintball and breaking that down.
That, and I think like paintball's done its best when they've done a post-production show. I think a live viewing of a tournament can be very tedious because a lot of paintball is sitting there and waiting. You know, in football games where the Super Bowl is a very low-scoring game, it's extremely boring. But they've manipulated the rules. They've changed things where they try to favor the quarterback so they don't get penalized. You know, they don't get hit as much. So that way they can throw the ball and put more scores up there. But I don't think our game can be shown in that sense. I think we could do a post-production show. I think we could take a page out of UFC's book and do a story. You know, like you could do follow your story of what you're doing, how you're going, and where you're like. You could literally do a whole show on uprising your team.
Of course.
You know, they could show you going to school, what you did, how all the things you had to put into, and show your struggle. And then they could show your match against Ironman. They could show a glimpse of it in a post-production thing, and people will be like, man, you know, he struggled all this way to get here, and you know, you guys lost. But it's like that would make people appeal to paintball, and that's what appeals to me. That's why I love paintball, because I love the traveling. So why not show that aspect? Why not show the traveling around, the bonding, and all that stuff? You don't need to show 5 minutes of a guy posting on each other, like, or just, you know, in a gunfight, because people don't understand that. They don't understand this tedious thing.
Absolutely. Raney Stanczak, you own the NXL, and I just gave you that power. What is the format you implement to the sport moving forward?
Well, I'll be honest right now, like paintball is like, it was in this hole and it's starting to get out. Like the Atlantic City was such a successful event because it's the
attendance.
Yes, it's the fourth event. It's usually our lowest scoring or our lowest sign attendance.
Third event.
And third event. And even Chicago, but they had such a good turnout. So you don't want to mess with this. We have a good base. Like, you don't want to change anything. The thing I would change is how we market it. I would literally sign, like, oh my God, we have X amount of money. Or make every field be like, hey, Camp Pendleton, you guys got to, every year you got to give $1,000. Badlands, you got to give $1,000. All these paintball people working together and taking this money that we set aside. NXL, you got to give 10 grand. And you have this money set for a marketing team. And that's what it's for. That's for marketing. Whether we put it into one show of just Alex Gray, or one show just on Dynasty, or one show on just a divisional team, and we create this story that we can present to the public that everyone will be attracted to. And it will be everyone working together. The problem is right now, we have too many people trying to do their own thing.
Okay.
And that hurts us, because we're, you know, it's like the same thing with me and paintball and poker. Like, I'm diluting my effort and energy and time and money. It's like, it's better just to focus in on one thing, and if everyone works together, you can focus in on that same common goal. But if everyone's not working together, they're going to go over here, they're going to go over there, and then people are just, you know, butting heads, and they're like, I'm right, no, you're right, and then it's the ego battle at the top.
Absolutely. And I totally hear where you're going with that. So where do you see it then? Like, where do you see it?
I see paintball.
5 years from now, like, where do you see paintball?
You know, paintball growing in all formats. I see the NXL keeping their thing. I honestly, like, I used to have this dream of, like, maybe being like...
Yeah, what's your paintball dream?
To see...
For the sport.
To see, like, because I watch these YouTube videos and I see, like, these guys running around with little paintball handguns shooting each other. Those have more views than one of our matches.
Okay.
I'm like, what's so appealing about it? I'm like, it's so easy to follow a first-person shooter rather than this stand-back view of 5 guys sitting in bunkers. There's really not much going on.
Yep.
So it's like, imagine, you know, you're playing your team versus my team in a warehouse, and we're playing 5-on-5,
okay,
and we all have GoPros, and we don't have a lot of paint. We have 20 paintballs.
Right.
We're running around. We're sticking people. It's like capture the flag. It's
Yes.
the most basic thing. Every kid knows how to play capture the flag.
Yes.
You don't need to explain. Oh, it's a 15-minute match.
Yes.
Oh, 2 teams are coming off. It's a different thing. It's the most simplistic thing. And yes, for paintball, for the NXL, that's not what the format would be. We'd still have NXL, but that money that we set aside, that's what it'd be for.
That's your side project.
That'd be the side project. That was what would make paintball grow. I think we tried to change all paintball when we made X-Ball, and that kind of hurt. It got rid of 10-man, which weeded out some of our paintball players. And now this old school style paintball is coming back because there's all these guys that want to play this. So we shouldn't just change our whole format to try to get that perfect formula.
Right.
We should set something aside to try to appeal, whether it's a different game, whatever it is, whether it's, you know, a one-on-one tennis match type paintball, whatever it is. We just need to put this extra energy in to working on it, and that's how paintball would get bigger, in my opinion.
I agree, and man, I look forward to doing something like that with you and just kind of exploring options about what we can do. Because I've said it before, right? No one's going to come in and say paintball. No one's going to change the format. You have to believe that you can do it yourself, and we all have the power to make a change, and we all have the power to make things happen. You know, if you can literally say to yourself, like, I'm going to play professional paintball one day and make that dream become a reality. There's no reason you can't say, I'm going to create this format for paintball. It's going to be everything I've ever wanted, and not make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on every individual paintball player too. You know, you have to appeal. Now that we have social media,
right,
we have to take that role upon ourselves,
right,
to promote the game,
right,
to explain it to people.
And so when I release this episode 3, I want to ask you guys the same question. You know, I want to see, where do you see paintball going? I want you to talk about, you know, Raney, how he says, like, you know, we should have the NXL, but we should also have this side project. I want you guys to offer solutions and talk about what you think as well. Let's get a discussion going, and let's see if we can reach some solutions. So, you know, Raney, before we sign off, I want to know what legacy do you want to leave in paintball? How do you want Raney Stanczak to be remembered, you know, when it's all said and done? Because, you're going to be, your time is limited. Both of our times is limited, and you put so much into the sport, and you've left your mark on the sport. And I can tell you that. Like, I'm a kid from New York, but I was well aware of the young stunners on Aftermath once upon a time. And I see this dude with the long hair and the beanie, and he's killing it. I mean, I used to watch you on iTunes in the ETV episodes, and it's just so cool to see you, and it's so cool to see like the player you've evolved into now, and the crazy experiences you've had in paintball. But for the audience watching this and getting to know you, how do you want them to remember you?
Like I definitely am a competitive person on the field, but I want people to like see how fun paintball is. Like I try to tell people, you gotta have fun doing it. You gotta have fun enjoying it. You gotta enjoy it, and that's what I want people to like maybe think about me is like that I enjoyed it, but at the same time I went out there and gave it my all.
Yep.
I was talking to Bart about this, hey, we're gonna do Europe next year, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna do Europe. It's like we just gotta keep winning. We just gotta keep playing and keep putting as many wins as you can, and hope when people look back that you played on the greatest team. Because I remember when I grew up, I watched Dynasty, and I remember Dynasty went overseas. They won the European, they won the MPPL, they won the PSP. And the year that I signed up with Bart, I told him, I was like, I don't know what you're thinking, but I want to win the overall championship in the NXL Europe, and there was supposed to be a third series, but it didn't happen. I'm like, I want to win the Triple Crown. I want to do it because I want to take that away from Dynasty. Because like when I was a kid, I didn't dream about playing on Dynasty. I dreamed about beating Dynasty.
Woo!
When I thought about run-throughs, I thought about bunkering those dudes. I have nothing against them. I liked them. I played with them, but I always wanted, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Right.
So
you're there right now. Like Edmonton Impact just won the overall series in Europe, and you're sitting in first place right now for the United States Series, the National X-Ball League. What can we expect from Edmonton Impact going into World Cup? Do you have any predictions?
I mean,
are you guys going to do it?
It's tough.
Because I'm not going to let you do it if we see you guys.
World Cup's tough, dude. Winning a pro tournament is so tough. You have to get lucky. Like, so many things have to go your way out. We could have been knocked out early in Chicago.
Yep.
We win an overtime point. We lose that. Infamous goes on. Who knows who wins the tournament? So, I mean, like, coming off this last event from Paris, there's a couple things I need to work on. And that's all I can really do is going into, World Cup. That's where I really don't want to spend time playing poker. So, like, I got 2 weeks until the grind starts again. So during the next 2 weeks, I want to put in a couple hours here and there and try to work on things. And, I think we have a pretty good lead on the series, but at the end of the day, it feels much better to win a tournament than it does to win the series.
Absolutely. All right, man, Raney, it was a great time having you on the set. I really hope you guys enjoyed getting to know who Raney was as a person. I want you to engage me. I want you to let me know if you enjoyed this format for episode 3. Where can we find you on social media, Raney?
On Instagram, I'm Mr. Stanczak. That's Mr. Stanczak, Stanczak. That's pretty much where I'm at. I rarely use Facebook, but yeah, mostly Instagram.
Awesome. And as usual, guys, if you can guess the guest for episode 4, I will be giving something out. I don't know what that is yet, so you'll have to wait and see. But when I upload this, and I'm going to go to Instagram at AlexGray21, reach out to me, DM me if you can guess that guest. I'm sending things out left and right. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you soon.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.